Welcome to the Her Story Circle podcast, the podcast that brings you the extraordinary tales of everyday women who are changing the world. I'm your host, Gertrude Mache, and I'd like to acknowledge traditional custodians of the land on which we meet today. I also like to pay my respects to elders, past, present, and emerging. Every week, we dive into the lives, challenges, and triumphs of women from all four corners of the globe. We're here to inspire, enlighten, and connect, sharing stories that uplift and empower. So grab a cup of coffee, settle in, and join us as we explore the incredible journeys of women shaping our future. This is Her Story, where every woman's voice matters. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Her Story Circle. This is Gertrude Mache here in beautiful Melbourne, Australia. And today I am graced with the presence of yet another fascinating young woman. Welcome, welcome, welcome to our tribe. Please tell everybody your full name, where you're based, and share your story with us today.
Hi, everyone. It's such a pleasure to be here. My name is Sheree Hannah, and I am currently joining you from Park City in Utah, USA. My home base is New Zealand, though. I am honored to be sharing my story with you today. So at 21 years of age, I had everything from what looked like everything together. My business that I just started was thriving. I was acing my postgraduate studies. I was fit and from the outside looked incredibly successful. The problem was I was high functioning, but my body had stopped responding. I can remember being keeled over in pain, sitting on my bathroom floor with tears streaming down my face, having no idea what was going on with me after my gynecologist had laughed me out of her office and just told me to take some painkillers. I can remember being in the middle of Central Park on a beautiful fall day on what was supposed to be a romantic trip with my partner and having a full-blown panic attack after a bike ride. I can remember waking up in the middle of the night, drenched in sweat, completely embarrassed by the fact that my body at 21 years old was having hot flashes. I can also remember having to sip on 5 cups of coffee every single day just to function. It felt like my emotions, my body, and everything was out of my control. And so I cracked down harder, just like any high-performing woman would. I pushed my body further, I trained more, I ate less, and I just told myself, you need to be more disciplined. Unfortunately, that didn't work. The weight gain got more and more. My body felt more flat and more exhausted. I had brain fog. I had so much pain in my body month after month, every time my period showed up, and I had no idea what was wrong. And that was the moment that I decided to take my health into my own hands. I looked a lot deeper, not just at calories, not focusing on willpower, but actually understanding the root cause of my problem. And when I looked at my beautiful female physiology, that was the moment that everything changed. I learned that the one piece of the puzzle that we have been told time and time again as females to ignore, the one that I had to fight for an ultrasound for from that same gynecologist that had ignored and dismissed my symptoms. That panic attack that happened in the middle of Central Park, the anxiety that overwhelmed my body, was driven from being on a hormonal contraceptive, lowering my natural, beautiful hormonal levels like progesterone that caused so much stress and shock to my system. The night sweats, the fact that my body thought it was going through menopause at the age of 21 was also driven by a low hormone of estrogen. That crazy emotional state, the low energy, the reliance on caffeine, all of that boiled down to the fact that I had pushed my body so far past burnout that my cortisol, stress hormone levels, were on the floor. Everything felt like it had completely shut down on me. And that wasn't normal, not for a 21-year-old woman. You see, your hormones aren't the problem. They're the signal. They are your internal, beautiful compass guiding you home to your beautiful body, trying to get your attention to alert you what is wrong. You see, we've been taught that suffering, the monthly cycle we have, all of that is just part of being a woman, that we're going to end up in pain, that we're going to have these symptoms, that we're probably going to be crazy for a week each month and lose our control over our moods and our emotions. When in reality, this is all feedback that our beautiful bodies are trying to tell us. And when you learn how to understand these symptoms and these signals and use them as your compass, they are going to guide you to the magic that is your female physiology, that is your female advantage, so that you can thrive. Because your hormones aren't the problem. They are, in fact, your superpower. My body matched. My energy matched. My performance in my career matched the output that it looked like to the rest of the world. I was thriving on the inside just as much as I was on the outside. My confidence rebuilt. I walked through life with a level of clarity and calmness that I'd never embodied before. And now I have the privilege of helping other women all across the globe do the same. So today I really want to share with you a little nothing to do with the fact that our bodies are built wrong. It is everything to do with the fact that we haven't been taught how to enhance them and how to harness the superpower that we live with. You see, men are like Toyota Corollas. They keep going and going and going until one day they get what we hope is only a warning sign, right? The car stops working. The body has a big event. It's a health scare. Whereas females, we are like Formula One race cars. We have one little thing wrong with our beautiful engine and we're unable to keep going. And so this is why when we understand how to harness our hormones and how to harness those beautiful symptoms that are trying to give us biofeedback, that everything changes. What I want you to understand is that women are not small men. We run a rhythm that is very different. If we can learn how to work with them instead of against them, we're going to be able to harness our biology to really transform our bodies and our lives. And this is what led me to creating the RISE framework. You see, women nowadays don't need to be told to do less. I do strongly believe that we can do everything. We just need to learn how to work with our bodies rather than against them. What does that look like? What is the RISE framework? The R starts us off with regulation. And this, if you are not familiar with the term of nervous system regulation, it is really about being able to operate from a state of calm and presence. And we regulate for a level of resilience. So this is teaching your body how to feel safe again so that your cortisol levels are calm. They're not hyper-functioning and they're not super low on the floor. So your energy levels are stable. Your mood is stable. First, I want you to check in with yourself. Ask yourself how you are feeling. You don't need to rely on an app. You don't need to rely on something external. I want you to see, did I feel rested? Do I feel happy this morning? What is my mood like? What is it that my body needs today? The second one, B, take a breath. Something as simple as 5 to 6 deep belly breaths is enough to take your nervous system from living in a fight or flight state into our rest, digest, reproduction, and repair state, which is really calming space for your nervous system to operate from. The third one is C, calmly set your intention for the day. Once you're able to do that, then we may choose to reach for our phone or do something else. But if we're giving ourselves that moment to start our day in a regulated state, everything is going to be able to change from there. The second piece of this, we no longer are doing intermittent fasting because it doesn't work for the female body. We're no longer high stressing ourselves out with different diets and fasted workouts. We're no longer running on high adrenaline and actually prioritizing really grounded, beautiful things that support our hormonal health. This looks like eating protein within the first hour of waking to again calm and regulate the nervous system and fuel our body effectively. This looks like making sure we are having strength training implemented into our week so that we're able to really support the production of our hormones effectively and to make sure that we're feeling strong. The other thing is to make sure we're not training on an empty stomach. We never want to be training fasted because that will deplete our hormones and our beautiful body even further. So those are some simple steps you can do for the I. The S is next, which is strengthening your capacity. Your capacity is your body's ability to actually handle pressure, for our capacity to handle even more. As women, we are doing more than ever. We are everything to everyone, and we don't ever seem to have time or space for ourselves to slow down. That's not saying we don't need to start to implement that more, but can we also put practices in place to support our body's capacity to handle more so that we no longer feel like we're being chased by a tiger 24/7. This goes back to simple things like bringing in that strength training that I mentioned earlier, making sure we do prioritize our recovery between our sessions, allowing ourselves to bring in something called hormetic stress, which is where we start to get comfortable in the uncomfortable. I'll say that again. If you get comfortable in the uncomfortable, your body and your nervous system learn how to handle more. And that is really where you're going to be able to expand your capacity. This looks like timing your cold plunges or cold showers around your cycle effectively to, again, stress the body in a healthy way to cause adaptation and change, operating at a higher level. We can then move on to the final pillar of the RISE framework, which is E. And this is where we get to elevate for our performance and longevity. And this looks like, this is where I really love to get my clients to, really adding in some fun things. Living from a place of joy, operating from a place of pleasure, bringing the fun back into your life because you now have the capacity to handle more, as well as adding in some really cool tools using things like biohacking supplements or practices to take your body to the next level. You know, it looks like, how can I elevate my coffee? What does my morning routine look like? And how are these things going to help me elevate so that I can perform at the level I want to perform as a high performing woman? And that is your RISE framework.
Absolutely wonderful. It's inspiring to see that you went through your own personal challenge, but you've used it and you're now empowering other women who might be going through the same thing. Can you take us back to that moment when your body forced you to stop?
I felt like I turned over every stone. I tried every method that was by the book. I was even studying nutrition at the time in my postgrad, and all of the answers there weren't the answers that I ended up finding that ended up healing me. And so I couldn't quite understand why what we were being taught in a normal classroom was actually not matching up.
Throughout the whole journey, how did high functioning burnout show up in your life, even while everything looked successful on the outside?
It showed up with me not being a pleasure to live with, as my mum and partners had put it. It really did affect my relationships. It affected how easily I was able to work. Like, everything felt so much harder. My body also felt like it wasn't a reflection of all of the hard work I was putting in. You know, I was training 7 to 8 times a week.
So what message had you been ignoring before your body spoke out loud?
That I needed to slow down and that I needed to feel safe.
Safety was a big issue. And how did your relationship with productivity and worth change through this journey?
Yes, I'd learned and conditioned myself from a young age that the more I do, the more enough that I would be, right? And so when I started to understand that I was still loved even when I slowed down, when I was still loved even when I needed to take a little bit of a pause to really regulate myself and build up that level of resilience, that even just my presence was enough for the people around me that really cared about me. That was when I realized that my worth was no longer attached to my work. And it really did transform not only my relationship with others, but actually my relationship to self. It brought a lot deeper self-awareness and how I was able to move forward and also better serve others.
So what role did the hormones and biology play in your healing that you weren't taught about before?
One of the biggest things that we weren't taught, and I had questioned, believe me, the doctors time and time again, one of the biggest catalysts for my transformation was coming off the birth control pill. So 10 years down the track, I learned that what happens is it disconnects your brain from your ovaries. So it shuts down your natural hormone production, and that beautiful infradian rhythm that I was talking about earlier, our month-to-month cycle, no longer exists when you're on something like birth control, hormonal contraceptives. And so that's why my body went into that state of shock where it almost thought it was in menopause. And I had to reverse engineer, reconnect the brain and the ovaries, get them back online. And from there, I was able to use my hormones, like I say, as your superpower to really understand my body a lot better. But because I'd shut off that communication for so long, I didn't really understand anything to do with my body as a woman.
So why do you think women, especially high achieving women, are conditioned to override their bodies?
We can't. To expect our bodies to function the exact same way day in, day out is absolute madness, in my opinion, because you're not honoring the highs and lows that happen with your beautiful hormones. So because we're in the workforce and none of this has been taken into consideration, we look at what is applicable to men. We try and perform at the same level as men, and then we struggle to keep up. And it's not because we're weaker, we're not smarter, we can't handle it, we don't have the energy, we don't have the confidence. It's because we're expecting ourselves to show up the same way every day, rather than working with our cycles to really enhance our productivity and our flow.
Yeah, women need to understand their hormonal cycles more. And this is stuff that should be taught from primary school to high school. You don't have to start knowing about this when you are an adult and you're a woman who's out in the world. So what does teaching your body that stillness isn't a threat actually look like in daily life?
So a lot of people think, oh, I'm fine if I just rest, but I just don't have time to rest. But if you actually get really quiet and really serious with yourself, and I even, quite often will ask my clients, how do you feel when you're just sitting watching TV? Do you, one, feel guilty? Two, feel the need to doom scroll on your phone or do something else to manage your attention and your energy? Three, how do you feel when you are just sitting alone with your thoughts, right? And so it's recognizing that the body might not even feel safe in stillness right now. And so one, acknowledging that, and then two, how can I feel safe in this moment? And so it may be doing a fair bit of the inner work to understand the emotion that you don't want to feel. A lot of high-performing females have been taught that they need to be the good girl. They need to be doing all the things. They are people-pleasing in their energy or in their mentality, as well as the fact that we talked about earlier, your worth and your productivity are all intertwined. Then you're going to be able to, again, expand your capacity and be able to do more, which is what we're aiming for.
So true. So how did leaving a toxic environment or relationship impact your physical healing?
Well, it was really interesting, and I always like to lead with the shock factor of this, but depending where you're joining us from, I'll give you context. But I dropped around 10 pounds, 5 kilos, literally within a matter of 3 weeks. And my stress levels it was purely because my stress levels came down so much. I wasn't walking around on eggshells. I hadn't realized what was going on with my nervous system in that toxic relationship, that I wasn't safe. Even if I was sitting on the couch with my partner, even if I was, out with the girls and getting texts all the time being like, where are you? What time are you home? All of that, even in moments of stillness or moments of what should have been peace, I wasn't feeling safe. And so by leaving that relationship, I was able to regulate myself a lot better. And that's where things really shifted.
Now, what myths about women's health and burnout do you most want to challenge?
I really love to challenge the idea that your body is broken. I hear this narrative all the time, and I see so many women get stuck in this healing hamster wheel, I like to call it, where they're looking to the next protocol, they're looking to the next diet, they're looking to everything outside of themselves, essentially, to give them the answers. And again, the belief that more is more. So one of the key things that I teach my clients is really around body literacy. And I always say to them, look, I'm here to guide you, and I will give you steps and tools and protocols to support from what I can see is the root cause that's going on. However, I need you to give me feedback on how your body is responding. So often women are told their bloods are normal, their labs are normal, everything's normal. Literally just on a call with a client, and she was like, yeah, the doctor said that everything is normal, but I still have symptoms. And I think this is the problem, is we're taught to override a lot of our own intuition or our own symptomology and just, okay, this must just be normal. So I love to challenge that. If you are feeling burnt out, if you are feeling overwhelmed, if you're feeling anxious, if you're getting bloating, if if your energy's on the floor, if your weight won't shift, if you're in pain, question it and keep going until someone will listen enough to help you get the answers that you need. We don't have to accept normal if it's common. It's not normal. We don't have to accept normal as the narrative.
Now, I know, Sheree, you have to go because you have another appointment. I'm going to release you, but is there anything else I should have asked you and I didn't?
No, I don't think so.
Thank you so much, Sheree. Thank you for the interview, and thank you so much for sharing your story with the community.
Oh, thank you so much for having me. It was so lovely to share it.
Take care, Sheree.
You too. Bye.
Bye. Thank you all so much for tuning in today. The Her Story Circle is not just a podcast. We're a social impact movement that brings you the stories and voices of women from all over the world. We share these stories to uplift you, to inspire you, to energize you, but most importantly, to help take you from where you are now to where you're trying to go. So if you are a woman who is experiencing burnout, you don't know where to start, women like Sheree are out there, happy and willing to help you take your health, your mental and physical health to the next step. One of the things that she said in this interview is advocate for yourself. Don't let people dismiss you, make you feel like you're crazy, because that's really one of the biggest issues that women experience. You end up feeling like you're being impossible. Your symptoms aren't real, but you need to trust yourself. Your body knows what's going on. Your body gives you those warnings. So reach out to the professionals who will listen, who won't make you feel like you're going crazy. Now I'm going to share Sheree's email at the bottom of the screen. Reach out to her. She's helping hundreds of women from all over the world. Although she's in the US, you can contact her online. So I'll be back again tomorrow, everybody, with yet another amazing guest. In the meantime, have a fantastic day, morning, or evening, wherever you are in the world, and bye for now. Thank you for tuning into the Her Story Circle podcast. I hope today's story has inspired you to believe in the power of our stories and the difference you can make in the world when you use your voice. I'm Gertrude Mache, and it's been an honor to share this space with you, where voices from all walks of life come together to weave a rich tapestry of diverse perspectives. Don't forget to subscribe, rate, and review our podcast to help us share these stories with more listeners. Follow us on social media by looking for the Her Story Circle podcast for more updates. And join us tomorrow for another episode filled with courage, resilience, and empowerment. Remember, your story matters, and together we're building a stronger, more inclusive world. Until next time, keep making